to this special edition of Attorney Session Reacts. I'm your host, Attorney Marcus Session. Today, I will be going over the entire Trump indictment. I will be going over his arraignment and just walk you through the steps of the case and the entire situation. Please like and subscribe to the video. Have anything else you'd like me to react to, please let me know. So without further ado, I'm going to just jump right into it. As we all know, there was a 44-page indictment filed against former President Donald Trump. The special prosecutor assigned to this case, his name is Jack Smith, and Jack Smith is known for being a very thorough prosecutor. He's known for dotting his I's and crossing his T's very well. He keeps a very low profile, hardly ever gives interviews, that kind of guy. Just seems like he's all about business. Judge Aileen Cannon, she is a Trump appointee. She will be presiding over the trial, which means she gets to control the scheduling of the trial. She gets to hear the sentencing, pretty much the meats of the trial. I made the distinction because with the federal district courts, there's usually a magistrate judge that handles all the pretrial matters, like the pretrial motions to suppress evidence, things of that nature. The pretrial magistrate handles his arraignment, negotiates his terms of release, things like that. Usually a part of that process includes taking the defendant's passport, making him post some kind of bond, which we know is not a problem for Mr. Trump. You know, he has plenty of money from what we know. But taking the passport is pretty standard. I mean, I don't know where Mr. Trump can go and hide, so I don't necessarily think he's a flight risk. So I probably wouldn't take his passport either. Nonetheless, Judge Aileen Cannon, a Trump appointee, will be presiding over the case. And that kind of worries me because there's something called judicial bias. Now, if she exhibits any type of behavior, says anything that may show impartiality towards the former president, then she could be taken off the case. So you may ask, where did all this begin? Back in November, the DOJ started doing an investigation into the former president to see if he had had any classified documents, to see if he knew the documents were classified, amongst some other things. Jack Smith, as I mentioned before, was appointed to oversee the special investigation into Mr. Trump and allegations that he had these materials. Specifically, what they were looking for was, one, whether Trump or his aides committed crimes by taking classified material to his Mar-a-Lago resort after he left the White House. Two, they were investigating whether or not he obstructed an investigation. This investigation turned up several pieces of evidence, recordings, interviews, tons of things. They even used previous statements from Mr. Trump regarding classified documents and the fact that he knew how to declassify documents correctly. In fact, the DOJ interviewed several highly profiled White House staff who informed them that the former president had declassified documents on several occasions the right way. So there's no possible way he could have thought that by taking these documents to his Mar-a-Lago resort that they were automatically declassified, which has been one of his main defenses. It was then that the Justice Department notified Mr. Trump and his defense team that he was the target of a probe. And when you're the target of a probe, usually what follows that is an indictment of charges. So after all the investigations are done, what happens is the prosecutor gathers all that information, goes through it, organizes it, and then decides whether or not he or she wants to present that case to a grand jury. And in this case, Jack Smith absolutely presented this case to a grand jury. Let's talk a second about the grand jury. A federal grand jury is a panel of 16 to 23 members of the community. The grand jury hearing is a closed door process. The defense and his attorneys, they're not allowed to attend. In this case, Jack Smith is presenting this information to these 16 to 23 citizens of South Florida. And at least 12 members of the 16 to 23 panel of individuals must vote based on probable cause in favor of an indictment before formal charges can be brought against the president. Now let's talk about probable cause for a second. Probable cause is one of the lowest burdens of proof in our criminal justice system. Probable cause only requires that a reasonable person would conclude that a crime has taken place. So after reviewing all the evidence, 12 members out of the 16 to 23 panel need to come to the conclusion that, hey, based on all the evidence we have here, a crime probably took place. And this is exactly what they did. Now, if the grand jury chooses to indict, which in Mr. Trump's case they did, they will return to the prosecutor what's called a true bill. That's why you see the words true bill on the actual document itself. With a true bill, the grand jury is pretty much just saying there is sufficient evidence to justify hearing this case. For this next segment, I want to just walk you through a little bit of this indictment, just so you can see how it looks, just so you can see some of the allegations and charges brought up against Mr. Trump. And yeah, it's just entertaining as well if you're into this kind of stuff. Here's the full indictment. This is what it looks like. At the very top, you see the certification information, the filing information, and then you will see the title, United States of America versus Donald Trump and Waltine Nada. So Waltine Nada is pretty much Donald's special assistant, right-hand man. He is described as the body man in some respects, which it's funny, a body man. It just sounds like a guy you can get to do any damn thing you want him to do. And I'm certain that's who Waltine Nada is. So at the beginning, they list just some general allegations against Mr. Trump. Oh, and the crazy thing about Waltine Nada in this situation is that I was reading that he can't really afford this type of legal counsel. So his legal team is being paid for by a PAC controlled by none other than, guess who? Donald Trump himself. So I wonder how they're going to be advising this individual regarding this case, because I'm certain prosecutors are going to offer Waltine Nada a deal to become a snitch in order to get some time taken off. So in these federal cases, there are provisions. If you assist in the case, you can get a lot of time taken off of your sentencing, things like that, which most of us already know. So I'm wondering how they're going to go about his defense. I wanted to start at the bottom of page 2 because they kind of detail who President Trump showed these classified documents to. On 2 occasions in 2021, Trump showed classified documents to others as follows. In July of 2021, at Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, New Jersey, during an audio recorded meeting with a writer, a publisher, and 2 members of his staff, none of whom possessed security clearance, Trump showed and described a plan of attack that Trump said was prepared for him by the Department of Defense and a senior military official. Trump told the individuals that the plan was highly confidential and secret. Trump also said, as president, I could have declassified it, and now I can't, but this is still a secret. Don't tell anyone, it's a secret. On another occasion, in August or September of 2021, Trump showed a representative of his political action committee who did not possess security clearance, a classified map related to a military operation, and told the representative that he should not be showing it to the representative and that the representative should not get too close. Hey, I know I shouldn't be showing this to you, right? But hey, don't get too close. But let me just show you this. But don't get too close, okay? I'm just gonna show you. Man, oh man. On page 3, we see some more allegations, and we see the actual introduction of Waltine Nada into those allegations. Trump endeavored to obstruct the FBI and grand jury investigations and conceal his continued retention of classified documents by, among other things, directing defendant Waltine Nada to move boxes of documents to conceal them from Trump's attorney, the FBI, and the grand jury. Oh man. And also by causing a certification to be submitted to the FBI and grand jury falsely representing that all documents called for by the grand jury subpoena had been produced. Now, for this grand jury subpoena, I was reading that his former attorneys actually testified to the grand jury about the inaccuracies of Trump's statements regarding this subpoena, and that's probably one of the pieces of evidence that Trump's legal team is probably going to try to suppress. But it's crazy to have a hitman like Waltine Nada. It's almost like a movie. In fact, it's almost like House of Cards. You remember Doug Stamper? And actually, Waltine Nada sort of looks like Doug Stamper if you ever seen a picture of him. But there you go. There's a picture right there. They kind of look alike. So everyone's always asking, what about the Secret Service? Where the hell are they at? Where are these guys with the suits, with the glasses, with the guns that are protecting the president? As every former president gets Secret Service guards for the rest of their life, right? So where are these guys during all this? On page 5 of the indictment, it says here, the United States Secret Service, the Secret Service provided protection services to Trump and his family after he left office, including at Mar-a-Lago Club. But it was not responsible for the protection of Trump's boxes or their contents. They can escape being involved in all of this because the indictment is specifically stating that The Secret Service aren't responsible for protecting those boxes. They are only responsible for protecting Donald Trump himself. So we don't see nothing else. We're just looking after this guy, the former president. Whatever else he's doing is not our business. Of course, the next couple of pages goes into what makes documents classified or top secret or confidential documents. The executive branch departments and agencies whose classified documents Trump retained after his presidency, like the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Defense, all these other executive agencies and all of their classified documents that he retained. Now, what's interesting is the former president's statements regarding classified documents and classified information. During his presidency, he made the statement, "As head of the executive branch and commander-in-chief, I have a unique constitutional responsibility to protect the nation's classified information, including by controlling access to it. More broadly, the issue of a former executive branch official's security clearance raises larger questions about the practice of former officials maintaining access to our nation's most sensitive secrets long after their time in government has ended. Such access is particularly inappropriate when former officials have transitioned into highly partisan positions and seek to use real or perceived access to the sensitive information to validate their political attacks. Any access granted to our nation's secret should be in furtherance of national, not personal interests." So they go into the retention of classified documents. And they show the pictures, like he has like boxes of things inside the ballroom. I think he had boxes of things in it. This is like a restroom, and there's a shower right there, and there's a toilet right here, right? And these are boxes of classified information. Storage rooms, boxes of classified information that he had Walt Nata moved to the Mar-a-Lago resort. It's crazy, just tons of classified information. He knew how to declassify and could have easily declassified before he left office. This part was a little bit crazy. We're talking about the false certification that Donald made to the FBI and the grand jury. Here it says, after Trump Attorney 1 finished sealing the red weld folder containing the documents with classified markings that he had found inside Trump's boxes, Nata took Trump Attorney 1 to the dining room in the Mar-a-Lago club to meet with Trump. After Trump Attorney 1 confirmed that he was finished with his search of the storage room, Trump asked, "Did you find anything? Is it good? Is it bad? Good?" Trump and Attorney 1 then discussed what to do with the red weld folder containing documents with classified markings and whether Trump Attorney 1 should bring them to his hotel room and put them in a safe there. During that conversation, Trump made a plucking motion as memorialized by Trump Attorney 1. He made a funny motion as though, well, okay, why don't you take them with you to your hotel room, and if there's anything really bad in there, like, pluck it out. And that was the motion that he made. He didn't say that. Like made a plucking motion. I guess that's what a plucking motion sounds like. Oh man. Starting on page 28 of the indictment, that's when you see the charges, the counts that he's facing. 31 counts of willful retention of national defense information. And here's all the counts specifically listed here. Here you'll see one count of conspiracy to obstruct justice. You'll see another count of withholding a document or record. It just lists all the counts and the charges that Mr. Trump faces, which are not good. And so here again at the end of the indictment, you see the true bill. Once again, that was certified by the grand jury that there's enough evidence to go forward with this case. Last thing I kind of wanted to look at was the penalty sheet. So there's a penalty sheet attached to this indictment, and it shows the max term of imprisonment penalties for each of the counts that Mr. Trump is facing. Like right here, you got 10 years, here you got 20 years, 20 years. Now, this is a federal case. It has a max right there, but typically in federal cases, no one gets the max. So when you see this, let's not, think for a second that even if found guilty, Mr. Trump is going to spend 10 years in prison. That's not going to happen probably. Honestly, I just want to see the legal process just unfold the way it's going to unfold. Remember, he is innocent until proven guilty, and so we'll just have to pay attention to the trial and see what happens. So, of course, that indictment was filed with the federal court on June 13th. The former president was arraigned, which means he was brought in. The magistrate judge was able to read the list of charges to him. He was able to plead guilty or not guilty. He pled not guilty. He was brought back, fingerprinted. Should have been mugshot. I would like to see that mugshot if it exists. And then the terms of his release was negotiated, which probably included posting a bond. They didn't take his passport, that I do know. So you're asking what's next? What's next is, if I'm his attorneys, I'm going to pretty much file some pretrial motions to suppress a lot of the evidence gathered in this indictment. Statements from former attorneys, recordings, things like that. I'm going to try to suppress that information so the jury doesn't even get to hear it. Prosecutors will attempt to offer Walt Nauta a deal to confess and to testify against Mr. Trump. But of course, I doubt very seriously that happens. I was talking to a very close friend of mine and my law school mentor from South Texas College of Law, who is now at Texas Tech University School of Law. He's my good friend and criminal law expert, Professor Jeffrey Korn. He is the criminal law chair and the director of military law and policy at Texas Tech University School of Law. And he said something to me that was very interesting. He said the big thing that we have to expect in this case centers around jury nullification. Jury nullification is the act of a criminal trial jury refusing to convict on conscientious grounds in spite of proof of guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Maybe because they think the law is unjust, or maybe they think the law is misapplied, or maybe they think the punishment is inappropriate, or in this case, maybe they think it's just wrong to convict a former U.S. president. Remember, these jurors are from South Florida. 16 to 23 individuals from South Florida. That's Trump country. So we could very well see, and don't get surprised if Mr. Trump gets off scot-free from this case. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Please leave your comments. If you have any questions as well, please leave those. I'll get to them. And if you have anything else you would like me to react to, please let me know. I would gladly do it. But with that said, till next time, take it easy, my friends.
Let's go.